At all. Everybody, thank you for coming back to another episode of The Drop Off. Today, I have another special guest with me, Mr. Mike, a.k.a. Big Money Petersen. Hello, my man.
What's up, dude? How you doing?
Man, I am chilling.
All right.
I am chilling. Mike, thank you for coming through. I thoroughly appreciate it, man. Mm-hmm. So, let's get started.
Let's do it.
Big Money, how did you become a UPS driver?
Let's start with, I got out of school, went to school up in Idaho, BSU, and I came home. I was going to be a police officer, and was starting to do all the metro stuff, and that fell through, and I was living on my brother's couch.
Okay.
And my brother's, one of my good brother's friends is Deshaun Evans.
Okay.
And so my brother was like, hey, dude, you got to get this dude off my couch. And Deshaun was like, I can get him in at UPS. So I was like, all right, I'll give it a run, dude. And so started at preload with that. And me and Deshaun have been cool ever since, dude.
Okay.
He's been part of our family group for 20 years. So
okay. Off top, you said something interesting.
What's up?
I want to hear about BSU. Boise State.
Yep.
Tell me about the Broncos.
The Broncos, it was fun, dude. They weren't that famous. It wasn't a known school because they didn't do that.
Right. That is kind of recent, them being like a real popular school now.
05, I think, or 06, they did that big game against, I think it was Oklahoma, and they beat them in that bowl game. And that's when the money flew in there. And so the school changed a lot then. But I was there before that, and it was a small town feeling. And the football, you know what I mean? Everybody just crowded around the football team before that win, so it was kind of cool. So I was up there, and I went up there to wrestle for college, and I was like, dude, I wrestled my whole life, so I got this. So when I went up there, I was like, they were like, hey, practice starts at 4 a.m, weightlifting, this, that, and I was like, oh, no,
yeah,
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I had that was
and
one of my.
They said, lose weight, weight and all that with wrestling. I had to lose 20 pounds, and I was like, when do you kick it? When do you hang out and drink and mingle with the ladies and all that stuff? And I was like, well, when do you do that? And they were like, no, you're here for sports. And I was like, this ain't for me, dude. I want to enjoy my college career.
I 1,000% know what you're talking about, because when I went to college for basketball, the schedule was the first thing that slapped me in the face. I was like, well, this is a job now. So we got practice at 6, and then we have class, and then we have practice again, and then we have weight room, and then you got to go do homework.
Tutoring, all that stuff is thrown in there, and I was like, oh.
There's time for no women.
There's time for nothing.
There's nothing.
Yep.
I can't do anything here. So, okay. So wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you are a tiny, fierce man. You do?
I've been wrestling since I was 4 years old. My family we have 4 brothers. There's 5 of us, and my mom and dad pushed us into wrestling because it was everybody go to the same gym. You're here, and me and my whole family wrestled our whole lives, all the way.
I remember you telling me at the I think it was at my UPS store, and you were telling me that you actually got to go. Where was it? Italy or somewhere?
I went to Germany.
You went to Germany?
Yeah.
Okay.
Holland and Germany, Amsterdam. We went out there when I was 15. And I wrestled against the German national team and all of that area, like Belgium, and all these people came to a tournament. I was the only one that got selected from Nevada, and so I flew out there by myself with 50 other kids from the United States, and we wrestled against these grown men from Germany and stuff. And yeah, that's a different kind of people over there, dude. But,
really?
Oh yeah, they're different, but they were very nice. The younger crowd was nice. The older people were like, you Americans, they kind of didn't like us.
Okay.
But it's understandable.
Right.
Whoever has their feelings about us. But we were running around all those countries and having a good time for 10 days.
And that's I won't say common, but there's more than a few of UPS drivers where after you get to know them, you learn that they played sports at a really high level. And that was something that when, after getting to know you after all these years, and you were telling me I wrestled at a really high level. And I'm like, so you were just putting people in a chokehold and just MMA choking people out. That's what you used to do.
Yes, definitely. Well, that's what people look at me. I'm the little guy, and I'll tell them, hey, dude, you got me, but if I grab you, I got you.
And I'll grapple you to the ground and
definitely
choke the life out of you.
I'll try. And if I don't, then I'll wait till I see you the next time and try again. But yeah, for sure, dude.
Okay. So let me ask you. So what was the plan before UPS? I know you mentioned like you knew Deshaun, and Deshaun was friends with your brother and all of that. So what did you plan on doing before you ended up working here?
I was going to be a police officer.
Right. Oh yeah, you did say that. You did say you were going to be why a police officer? Tell me about that.
I don't know, dude. Like, I was all into wrestling and fitness and health, and I would, when I was in high school, I thought, man, maybe I'll do military on like Navy SEAL stuff. I was into that, and I shoot guns my whole life. I'm into guns. I'm into that, and then I went to college, and I was like, I'm gonna be a police officer. I was going to criminal justice. That's what my degree was focusing on, and like my fourth year hit, and I came back to Vegas, and they were doing a major hiring here in Metro, and I was like, dude, if I don't get in right now, they might not hire for another 5-10 years. Who knows how much they're doing? So I did it, and it fell through. And I was like, man, a bad day being a police officer is a bad day.
Yeah, like you might die.
Yeah, you might die or you might kill somebody. That's a bad day. But it was I don't know, a blessing in disguise because, hey, I would say a police officer is one of the hardest jobs, dude, dealing with what's going on with everybody. You're one of the either the most liked or hated person out there.
Right.
So that fell through, and then Deshaun hooked me up, and then I've been at UPS ever since.
Yeah. Ever since. Man, when I first started here, you were one of the immediate people that I noticed. And do you know why that is?
Because I'm so sexy, man.
No, motherfucker. It's not because you're Mr. Sexy, man. You are good looking. I'll give you that. Yeah. You are good looking with your beard, okay? Awesome. You got that down. But immediately when I got here, I remember just noticing how you were just the happiest person. Like, even on like really bad days, like, like sometimes the whole warehouse, the whole hub will just be extremely heavy. And I remember just time after time of bad days, you would be the one dude just like over it and just like laughing and giggling with a smile on your face.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, I got to the point when I first started, I went through so many, as a rookie, dude, they eat you if they can. You know what I mean? So I was just trying to get through my first few years. I was an air driver for a long time when I first started.
I didn't know that.
They used to have EAM drivers in our center. So I started in the warehouse, and then the first class that came up, it was, do you want to go full-time or there's an air driver position open? So I went air driving, and I was an air driver for like 6 years.
What?
Yeah. To where I'd go in, do EAMs, and then I would do air. Like, if you need help, like routes are heavy, instead of letting a supervisor do the job, they had air drivers then. They did it right,
Yeah.
So they would be like, all right, you can do it. But I came into work one week, and they were like, hey, your position's no longer a position.
That's how you got out of that.
That's how I got out of that area. So then I was like, well, right when I started driving, I had just started having children and stuff, and I was like, man, I got to do something.
See, what's wild? What's wild is when I was preloading, I remember Tamisa, and there was another guy. This was at the South Building, and I forget the other guy's name. But I remember preloading, right? And then I remember them like working in the warehouse, and then them putting on the uniform, and then going to go do EAMs and then deliver air.
Yep.
And I just remember like that has to be the dopest job here by far.
I was making driver money, and it was nice, dude. I enjoyed it, but you start getting older, start having kids, and you need to start making more money. It was a blessing in disguise that job went missing, because if it didn't, I'd still be doing it.
I mean, that's what I would have tried to do if it was something I could have done.
Ride that out until it turned into a combo job, and then I would combo it. But once you touch a ground package, it's top rate anyway. So
right.
I would do that to where I'd be like, oh, I got a ground package. What do you guys want me to do? They'd be like, oh, deliver that bulk. So then my whole day's top rate.
Okay.
And so once I did that and I was killing it, I loved it, dude. I loved my job then.
All right.
But that was when I had, no family,
no responsibilities. You got to just be a young, single, handsome man and run the streets.
That's what
and do what you wanted to do.
Lived at my grandparents' house, took care of them. They took care of me, and it was an awesome, awesome time.
Oh, yeah, that was a good situation then.
Yep.
That was a tremendous situation. Okay, so for the people, let the people know how much of a vet you really are. Because I'm going to tell you this. You walking around the building, people probably don't know how much of a vet you really are. Because you still look like a young son of a bitch. All right?
Yeah, and I act like it. I still act like it.
That is true, too.
So I'm 05. I started with UPS in 05 and did the driving there in 06. I started, doing that. And been delivering ever since, dude.
Right.
So
So for everybody, this is one of my legit OGs, man. This is one of the men who is literally given me so much of who I am at this job. A lot of it comes from Mike Petersen, man. As far as like my attitude, the way I try to mentally think about the job, directly comes from you, my brother. I don't know if I ever told you that or if you see that in me, but a lot of who I am at this job comes directly from you.
Well, I'm going to do a little flashback with you because I remember you calling me and saying, Mike, I am done. I am at my limit. I cannot do this shit anymore. And I said, hey, calm down. Take a deep breath. You got this. I said, if you don't do that, you know what I mean? You're going to be upset at yourself in the future. And you did what you did. You called, I think it was Donald then. You're like, hey, bud, if you don't get out here and help me and talk to me, I'm not going to make it. But that happened to me when I was younger, dude. I talked to Deshaun, and I was like, what do I do? And he was like, take a deep breath. Put all the stress on the company. You don't take any of the stress. And once you start realizing that you don't have to worry about anything and you put it on them and it's not your responsibility, dude, the game changes. Your whole mind switches. So when you come in and you look at vets that are 20 plus years, when they come in and see 300 stops or 100 stops, their emotions are the same. You can see Medlock. You can see all those dudes walk in. McKnight. They don't have expressions. They roll in and look at it and they say, I'm making money today or I'm chilling today. No difference to them. They don't care. And so once I realized that, when Deshaun was like, obviously he would make fun of me. I'm like, I can't take this shit anymore. I'm going to quit. Kind of like you did.
And I was whining like a little bitch.
And I was like, hey, dude, you got this. Just step back and not take any stress on, not worry about anything, and you got it. And I tried to tell the rookie the other day that was trying to quit. And I said, hey, dude, you need to talk to some drivers. Everybody that you're saying what's going on, everybody's gone through it. So, yeah, dude, they once you figure that out at UPS, I think you control your emotions. You control, as they say, your smiles and cries. You control it. And once you control it and you take the control from UPS and you control yourself, I think the job is much easier. And you can take it and you can go out there and do what you do.
See, what I'll say is what you're saying is very true, but that's a very hard thing for especially a new driver to understand unless he has somebody like you or Deshaun or somebody who's been there for like almost 20 years or 20 years plus to be able to explain that to him. Because in the beginning, like I would hear like when I was struggling, especially mentally with the job, it'd be like the drivers of my class it would just be like mostly just us like trying to help each other. Or like, hey, I don't know how we're gonna do it, but we just gotta hang in there. But none of us have the tools to really know how to think about the job yet. So it really wasn't until like you came in and saved me for the second time. Deshaun saved me for like the third time, where it starts to like really settle in. Like, okay, you really have to like begin to, if you don't master your perception of this place, it's really bad.
They get you.
It's really, really bad. So I just want to say thank you, man, because my whole career, a large part of my career, dude, I very much owe to you. Really.
You earn everything you got at that company.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
To you, that's for sure.
So I do want to ask you, man, because I know you are one of the biggest family men that I have ever met in my life. When I say family, man, I don't just mean like you have a family, you have a whole bunch of kids. I mean, you actually have a successful family where, you got the wife, you got the kids, and you do it well. Like you make sure everybody's taken care of, man. Every time, you tell me stories about your kids, they're great stories. They're fascinating. And then a lot of times, I've asked you because, I have a son who's not too far away from, your kid's age. So a lot of time I ask you about fatherly advice. My son is a little dickhead right now. I'm having trouble. I don't really know.
What should I do?
Yeah. What should I do here? So I do want to ask you though. So how does your family feel about what you do for a living?
I think they look at the truck and they love it. They'll say, I'm going to be a UPS driver. And I'm like, it ain't happening, bud. It ain't happening. That's like my lowest that I want my kid to do. I want my kid to overachieve what I do. So not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that I want my kids to do better than what I'm doing. Okay, because I don't mean to cut you off, but I do want to ask you, because that's actually a common thing, right? Right. When,
because a lot of people's kids love like the UPS truck and they want to do what dad does and shit like that, right? But a lot of drivers echo what you just said, though. It's like, nah, I don't really want you to do this, right?
Well, I think we give a lot. We've given a lot to that company, and they say, oh, well, you don't like it, leave, or we pay you well. But at the end of the day, dude, we give what we give to that company, and it's a lot of the times it's missing birthdays, it's missing, you know what I mean, events, sports, you know, events with your family. And UPS, like at my beginning, I was like, dude, I haven't seen my kids in 4 days.
Yep.
I'm like,
that's what I used to cry to you about all the time.
I'm like, hey man, I'm like flip out mode. So I got an iPhone when the iPhones first came out when I first started driving, because that's how I had a relationship with my family. Oh, you know what I mean? FaceTime was there, and I was like, okay, I haven't seen my kids, and I'll go in and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going home, and I'll tell the wife, hey, I'm on my way home, and you walk in that door and management's sitting there like, you're doing that route that's been sitting the day, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen my kids in 3 days. But that's when they got you, dude. They got you, and you have to learn. Now I'm like, oh, if you got me, I'm going to get you back.
Yep.
But as you stick with the company that long,
it gets better.
You get better, but you realize that what you've given to the company, you get paid for it, but you give a whole lot of your personal life, your family life, you know what I mean? You don't make plans Monday through Friday. Right. You can't. You can't do birthdays, and your family will go to an event without you because you can't make a plan. You can't do it. And when you get into work and they say, hey, we cut the route next to you, you're at 300 today or 250 back then. Now, if they did that to me, it ain't happening. Dude,
do you know how wild that was to me when I first started? When like you'd have two drivers in your loop, right? And then it'll be on a Friday, and the next two drivers in your loop, they both get to go home at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, and you have to be out here till like 8, 9, 10 o'clock. I didn't understand it at first. I used to be like, hold up, dude. I feel like there's some type of unfair thing going on. Are they giving y'all like hand jobs in the office or something? Like, what's happening? How come I feel like the workload is not being evenly distributed?
Like they said, dude, you get treated differently if you're good.
Yeah, that's very much true.
And I've been saying that to Pee Wee for years. I'm like, Pee Wee, you need to chill, because he hasn't turned it off. Like when we first started together, like he was fast and I was right next to him. I'm not as good as him, or I wasn't running like him, but I was right there. And then I realized, like, holy shit, dude, these packages aren't stopping. There's more and more every single day. And I've been telling Pee Wee that, but Pee Wee's like, I don't care. I'm getting home to my kid. Right. Once he started having children, he was like, I'm getting this. I'm done. And it doesn't matter. You put 300 on Pee Wee, he's going to run 300 out.
He's going home.
Yes, he's going home. And he's going to do it. And he is not going to stop.
I consider Pee Wee in the top 5 of, since I've been here, he's in the top 5 of best UPS drivers, hands down.
He moves.
He's in the top 5. He smacks anything that they put him on. It doesn't matter. Like you said, you got 250, you got 300. All right, dude, I'm going home at 5. I don't care what you're doing. I'm going to the house. And the only thing is, I think about it, I'm like, dude, ooh, because people, you're a little bit older than me, and I know how my knees feel. So I can imagine how your knees feel. You ain't got too much longer, dude.
Yeah, his knees and his back, I'm sure he struggles with it, but when he does work, he gets it.
Yeah, he gets it done.
He doesn't stop.
Okay.
So, I don't know, man.
So, how does your lady feel about what you do?
My lady's good. When I first got with her, I was preload. You know what I mean? She had her own job, and I was preload, and I was like, she was take care of me kind of thing. It wasn't. I
was in the same situation.
Yeah. So I had a lady that was taking care of me, and she, when I went to her dad, and I was like, hey, dude, I'm gonna marry your daughter. And he was like, nah. You're not, dude. He was like that.
He told you no?
Yeah, he was like that preload that you're on.
It's like some mob stuff
he was
right
like,
there.
Hey, dude, you're not making money. You're preloading. You need to step it up if you're going to marry my daughter. And I was like, hey, I'm marrying her, so get ready. So then once I hit driving, because we used to have separate accounts, once I hit driving and she started seeing them checks, she's like, why don't we combine our accounts together, baby? You know what I mean? I was like, oh, you see the money coming in now, which is cool. But she's, like I said, she does a lot of events with my kids without me. Right. And it causes issues sometimes, but at the other end, without me staying and making that money, we wouldn't have a lot of things we do get to do. Like you said, I like to take my kids on trips. I want my kids to remember like family time, and me and my wife and the kids go to the mountains. Like last weekend, we were Big Bear for the weekend just to show them where the mountains are up there. To Big Bear. If not, I'm going to wherever I can take them, to Cali or to up hunting or whatnot. I want my kids to be well-rounded to where they know, hey, I like this. And they say, we've been to this place. I really want to go try it again. Instead of staying in Vegas and saying, Vegas is my spot, I don't want to go anywhere. Hey, we've been to Cali, we've been to Utah, we've been to Idaho. You know what I mean? We're going to travel around to where, maybe one of those spots or something that they want to know or they want to adventure out to do. And then I don't want them to feel like they have to be stuck in Vegas.
Right. See, when I was talking to D. Foss last week, he said something to the tune, I'm going to mess the quote up, but it was something like, you make a good living here, but a life is sold separately, right? And you're like, I swear to God, you are the best example of somebody who figured out the life sold separately part, though. Because, for a minute, for people listening, me and Mike were in the same loop. It was like, it's some of the greatest times, dude. Right. It's just talking to Mike every day when he would pull up to my UPS store. But you would tell me all the time about like all the trips that you go on and all the stuff, all the fly stuff you get to do with your sons.
Oh yeah.
Right. So like I listen to like your stories and I listen to like the things you do. And it's like an example for me on like, okay, listen, you got to bust your ass doing this job, but you can't, no matter how much this job is like making you put into it or taken away from you,
right.
You have to go get the life that's sold separately, though. You have to make time to go do that. Yep. So, like you tell me about, you going hunting all the time, and I'm going to go with you one of these days. I'm trying to go shoot some shit up with
right.
you,
okay.
1,000%. But I would imagine that your kids, even I don't even want to say really so much right now because something a little personal to me was me and my pops kind of had like a rocky relationship like in like my teenage years. And then it wasn't until like I hit about like 21, right? Or maybe a little earlier, like between like 19 and 21, where I got out into the world and I had to like take care of my own shit.
Right.
And everything that happened to me that was on me, that I was like, all right, I understand everything that you were doing. I get it now. So I can imagine like once your kids hit that age, they're going to be like, damn, Dad was cool as a motherfucker.
Jesus. I hope.
I didn't know how cool he really was.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, dude, the same thing with me. Growing up, I had, my relationship with my dad. He wasn't around very often. When he was, we all tried to make the best of it. But some of those reasons of that relationship are the reason why I'm the way I am with my kids right now. I want to make sure my kids, like you just said, step back and they say, damn, dude, Dad was around and Dad did this with us. And majority of the stuff, if I'm not at work, I'm doing with my kids.
Right.
And at the end of the day, when we're old and I say, hey, guys, you want to come over and hang out? I want them to be like, call me and say, hey, Dad, we're coming to hang out when they're older or when they have kids or stuff like that. So I want my kids to be involved in my life as much as I want to be involved in theirs.
Right.
Because in the younger years, I want to be involved. In the older years, I want them to be involved with me. So when they have their families, I want them to be like, hey, I'm coming over for family dinners and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And that's definitely something I got to get better at. I'm not going to lie to you. I remember like whenever you would pull up to the UPS store and it'd be like, I don't know, 3:30, 3:15 or some shit like that. And you'd be like, all right, J.Love, I'm done already. I'm like, what are you done so early for? Baseball practice, got to go.
Yeah, totally. And baseball and soccer. Right now we're doing flag football and soccer this week. So now it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'm like, got to get my ass moving and make it so that it all doesn't land on my wife's plate. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's doing a lot and she's done a lot, but I want to make it to where she understands that I do a lot and we're a team, So it's definitely tough, but
you make it happen.
Yeah,
because I definitely, as somebody who's known you my whole time being here, you put in a tremendous effort. Like not only at the job, but I've like also noticed the effort that you put into your family.
For sure.
So like I see that, and that shit is inspirational, honestly. So goals for me to get into.
Dang, like you said, you're with your kids. You had them. You know what I mean. So it's your responsibility to take care of them. You can make it a good experience, or you can make it a bad one. And I think the best experiences are with your family and friends, so you might as well make the best of it and have them involved in your life as you get old. You want them to be involved in you don't want to be sitting in your house when you're retired because you've put away all this money and now you don't have anybody to hang out with you. You know what I mean? Your kids are like, oh, dude, I'm doing my own stuff.
Right.
So that's good.
Man, okay. So now I want to ask you, because you're kind of special in this situation, where my next question is, does any anyone in your family relate to what you do for work? And you actually have a relative who works at the building with us.
Oh yeah.
So,
yeah, Christian, for
so
sure.
how does that has to be a super interesting dynamic? I always wondered about it. Like personally, I've never like asked you a Christian about it. Like, how does it feel to like work with like, you know, your uncle who you're like super tight with? Mm-hmm. Like that has to be kind of dope.
Well, it's good and bad, you know what I mean? Because I'll be like, Christian, quit being a baby or quit being a bitch, you know, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But there's times where Christian, you know what I mean? I'll hit him up and be like, hey, dude, I got something tonight. Or when he was in my area, I'll be like, hey, dude, I got you. Or, you know what I mean? Something happened. I'll come and grab some stops. So it helps with that. But I think the rest of the family thinks like, oh, UPS is, it's easy, dude. That's an easy gig. And then, you know, Christian comes in and he's like, hey, like 1 out of every, 5 make it? It's like it's like football. You know, like, oh, dude, I got to make the team. Mm-hmm. So having Christian there is good, but like, I try to tell him, hey, do you control your emotions? He gets emotional a lot in there when he's fighting over routes. And I said, you got to take control of your work life and get a route and sit down on your route and be comfortable. Mm-hmm. And lately, you know, he's bouncing around and he let him get him this week or a couple weeks ago. And he was upset. And I was like, come on, Christian, dude, control yourself, control your happiness and your cries, dude, or you're going to be upset to where you'll have thoughts of quitting. You're like, here's my board, I quit. Mm-hmm. And as you make it, dude, you top out, and you're like, okay, I'm making a shit ton of money for a 20-something-year-old kid with no kids, nothing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, dude, you should be killing it right now. You should have an account just plumb full. Yep. And I'll give him some advice on that. But me at 23 years old, if I was making $100,000 a year,
you wouldn't be making the best decisions.
I wouldn't be making the best decisions. I'd be like, he bought a dog or whatnot. So he loves this new dog, and it's a cool dog.
It is a gorgeous dog. Christian, if you're listening, your dog is badass.
Yes,
I've told you this before, but I want the world to know Christian has a badass dog.
Bully. What is it? Jungle Bully or whatever. His dog's name is Mercer.
Mercer, the Merkle Bully.
Yeah, that thing's a pretty sweet dog. So,
it is.
We get to talk about stuff like that, and he sends me pictures like he's a proud father. Like, hey, dude, check out my dog. He sent me a picture yesterday of his dog, and I'm like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? That's your baby. So
I'll kick him in the teeth. You cut this shit out right now.
He sent it's like me sending a picture of my kids riding dirt bikes today. He sends me a picture of his dog, so it's all good. But yeah, he has his little moments, and it makes our relationship strong. We have a strong relationship, but you know what I mean? It also sometimes gets murky to where I'm like, dude, come on, bro. Right. He says the same to me, but at the end of the day, we're family.
Right.
And I got his back. If, you know what I mean, whenever he needs me, I got him. And whenever I need him, he's got me.
See, I remember maybe year 1 driving or year 2, I got my little brother a job preloading. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I was kind of aware of what type of money UPS drivers make. And the plan was, I was like, dude, it's going to be me and you, and we about to murder it out here in real life. Mm-hmm. And God damn it, he couldn't hang in there.
No, not very many people can.
He couldn't hang in there, man. I was like, dude, man, if you, like, I'm already in here. I'm already holding it down. But if you can get in here and hold it down, dude, there's so much we can do outside of work if you can just, like, hold this shit down. But it didn't work. My
little brother jumped for Deshaun one year, and I was like, dude.
Never again?
I'm not doing this shit no more. And my whole family does construction work. They move dirt. So
that's hard work too.
Oh yeah, they've done really well. My whole family, my grandparents came to the Valley a long time ago. My grandpa owned his own company, and my family has been employed by my grandpa pretty much. Everybody in my whole family but me. Okay. So
the black sheep.
I was the black sheep. Well,
the white black sheep.
Yeah. So I go to work. I went to work with them one summer, and they were out there, and it was first time I heard my grandpa say a cuss word, and I was like, oh my gosh, grandpa said a bad word, you know? Because he would throw us on a piece of equipment when we were 10 years old.
What?
Yeah, and be like, hey, go over here and do this. And you do it. And so...
What do you mean a piece of equipment, though? Keep in mind...
the shit you see on the side of the road.
No, there's no way. He's putting you in a Tonka truck?
Yes, in a loader.
To do stuff?
In a loader. And you'd go and you'd roll properties and pick up rocks and all that. But I only did that the one time. And I was like, I don't want to work with you guys no more. I went home and told Grandpa said a bad word. And,
you want to snitch?
Yeah, I snitched on him. But the whole family dynamic has worked for dirt, moving dirt, and they've done really well. And everybody in the whole family has done great. And after seeing that, and I was going to be a police officer, now I'm a UPS driver. And when I got my job at UPS, my grandpa was like, dude, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I do want to ask you that because if your family has been successful, like doing their family business, and then you step outside of that, like and do your own thing and become like super successful too. That's got to feel pretty good, man.
It felt great, and it was funny because my grandpa would tell Deshaun, "Hey, man, get once he got me a job, my grandpa would tell Deshaun, "Oh, thanks, man, thanks." But it feels good, you know what I mean? He was happy that I had a job that I was gonna keep, and it was a union job, and I made good money in the future. So it was different at the beginning because everybody in the family had a different relationship with him, and I didn't have that relationship.
Right.
But as I got older, and when I started at UPS, I lived with my grandparents and built a relationship with them, and it was totally different than the one I had before. So I was thankful for that. But yeah, dude, UPS was pretty nice when it came to that. So the grandpa was proud, and everybody in the family is doing really well, and it's cool.
That's dope. That's dope. You did just mention though, mention something about the union, and I have definitely thought about becoming a union steward, and it's interesting because you are a union steward, and I remember before you were a union steward. So I do want to ask you now that like you, because I would imagine from not being a union steward and then now you've been a union steward for a while now.
Yep.
So now you've become like, even because you were knowledgeable before, like you knew I was coming to you way before. Like when I was having my breakdowns, you weren't even a union steward yet.
No.
And I was just calling you because like you knew so much stuff.
Right.
So now, do you feel like now that you're a union steward, like you know even more?
I know a lot more. The relationships are different. Like you form a different relationship with management kind of thing when you're talking to them, and you see that, and you form a different relationship with different drivers because you see some of the things they're doing wrong, some of the things they're doing right, and how they act and how they approach things and how they represent themselves, and you got to go in there and represent them anyways.
Yeah.
So I see everybody at a different way, and how they hold themselves and how they talk and how they do that. Some people come in guns blazing, F the world, F you, I didn't do anything wrong. Some people come in there like you said, hey, good morning. Like DeFoss said, hey, good morning. What do you need me for? What happened? So you just deal with everybody totally different. You can't deal with everybody the same way. And so that, and then you, like I said, me and Deshaun have been boys, and then me being friends with him has been friends with Mike, being friends with Al. You know what I mean? You start hearing stuff, and then in the other building you got John Reed. He's one of my boys. We talk almost every day. I bullshit with him. He's been with the company 25 years and very mellow, but can move. He's like
a undercover cool cat.
Yeah,
because nobody you don't see him out there like talking to a whole bunch of people. But like whenever you get John one-on-one, or you like in a small group and you get like actually get to hear him speak, because a whole bunch of people don't get to hear him talk ever, right? But then after you get to like just talk to him for a little bit, oh, this motherfucker's cool as shit. Well, I thought he was just like a silent murderer or something, but he's one of the coolest dudes.
And he kills,
at least that I've met there.
He's not lazy. He holds it down. He comes to work and does his job and has a family and maintains that, and he's a good dude.
Right.
Definitely. So I pick brains of all these people and get the good, and from each one, and each one has a different thing to give me. You know what I mean? Al Fineman's a totally different way of handling stuff than James Hearn. You know what I mean? Everybody handles stuff differently. And it gave me time to think and figure it out. And finally Deshaun was like, man, you should get in and do this. And I was like, you want to know what? I do. I want to do it. Like, I see how he handles himself and does it, and how it's affected him at UPS, because a lot of people, by the time they're 25 years in, are beat up.
Right.
The majority of the people that are in there trying to take care of it right are not beat up.
At all.
So you have to look at it that way, but being a union steward has been good, dude. But you make relationships with management differently, and you hear the stuff they say, and you're like, hey, bro, you can't be saying the stuff like that. Yeah. And then they look at you like, oh, man, Mike stood up. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to stand up. If you're going to come at me aggressive, I'm coming back. And if you come at me right, we're gonna work together. Like you say, you get more bees with honey than vinegar. You know what I mean? So if you guys are in there just whispering, talking together, smiling, laughing, all right, this is a serious moment, let's talk about it. And then you let it chill, and, you know what I mean, let it go back, and then you guys go back to bullshitting again. You know what I mean? If you let it control your day, because there's times where management, you know, who's in there, be mad all day, just cussing and hollering, and you're like, hey, bro, good morning. Calm down, dude. You can't let this shit kill you, because stress is going to kill you. And management is known to have issues with stress, and it causes medical shit to where people have passed away from it. So
that's another thing. I'm only gonna shout it out because you said it. Me personally, I've seen 7 people die since I've been here. I've been here for 10 years. I know 7 people who have passed away because of stress from this job. That's something that's super not talked about. Is how often we lose like a fellow member of our team due to stresses.
With suicide, with that, and then
heart attacks,
and then you look at UPS has the highest divorce rate, and they're going home from that and dealing with work. And if you're getting it from both ends, it's hard to live a normal life to where you're like, man, I can't do this shit anymore. So I hope that everybody, you know what I mean, like you said, you talk to people, and I'm always in there laughing, and I'm in there trying to get everybody to where it's that easy thing to where everybody can come and talk. No matter how your day is, you come in and talk and you're good. And some days it's not good, but you should be able to come in to like before PCM by the chairs over there and you're bullshit, and you're like, hey, dude, somebody's crying. A couple days ago, somebody was having a hard day, and I was like, hey, dude, are you okay? Like, you can talk. You can let me know. If you don't want to talk, just tell me, hey, I don't want to talk. But if you need somebody to talk to, just say what's up and tell me. And if I can help you, I will. And if you need the day, I'll try to go in and be like, hey, dude, it's probably a bad idea to have this dude out on the road because you don't know what he's going through. And then you got to deal with, like you said, the people out there, because you're dealing with your own stress and then you're dealing with everybody else's stress. And those dudes, like you said, some of them come at you crazy when you're delivering a package that's been stepped on. And you're like, hey, dude, I just deliver.
Right.
So everybody is different when it comes to that. But when it comes to everybody in our warehouse, I just try to make them laugh and joke and give them nicknames and make fun of them and do it. And they give it back to me, and I think it's great.
Yeah, dude. So all your nicknames, to me, you got people thinking they're like I'm rich or something. Because you call me Big Money every day. Money bags, all type of shit.
Hey, that's love machine.
You done built up like I got a whole mystique now just off of your nicknames.
That's all right, dog.
So I do want to ask you though, because at some point in time, right, and I'll say this, it was mainly when we transitioned from Red Rock over to Lone Mountain that I noticed that I kind of want to say it's because even though I've always been pretty close with all the union store guys, you know what group of guys I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But there was like something happened where I want to say management got cooler. Like as far as maybe more personable, maybe they went through a class or something that got them to be able to communicate well. Because usually in my experience, in my life experience has been that men, not so much women, but men have more of a problem like communicating emotions and their frustrations through the words, right? And at some point in time, I remember being able to come in, and this was a couple years ago, maybe 2-3 years ago. I remember being able to come into the office and then see the union stewards and then the managers, like the center manager, the on-road soups, like be laughing and having like homie conversations, like
personal,
like personal conversations, talking to each other, like how you were saying, like, hey, let's talk and let's laugh and joke. Some of the funniest shit I've ever heard is drivers saying shit to the center manager, like just roasting them. Oh, yeah. And the center manager take it and laugh at it and then say something funny back.
Yeah, and come back at you. And that's what we have right now, I think.
And it's tremendous. I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much because it makes the work environment so much better.
Right.
But I wanted to ask you specifically, though, from the transition from you being not a union steward to being a union steward and being up close and personal in those situations, have you noticed that like something has happened in management where management is dope? Because a lot of drivers will like complain about the managers, but I can't really say like there's a bad one. I can't really say that anymore.
No, you used to be able to.
Yeah, you used to be able to say that.
Right there is, I don't mess with him.
But you can't really say. I'm gonna say it right now. Brad Black and Brad Abate, y'all are good soups, man. You know what? Listen, I've told y'all this before, but I'm gonna say it live, as this show isn't live. But you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Y'all are good supervisors, man. Yeah. Y'all actually do help the work environment be very much a happy place to be, right?
Oh yeah.
So what do you think was that change? Do you think it was just like the personnel switch up, or?
I think Brad came from You know, I mean, he was a driver, and he was an on-road soup in our building before he went to the South building. So he has a relationship with majority of the vets and all that there. That
before he was a manager.
Before he was a manager,
Okay.
He was like, when I first started, he was an on-road soup. And,
Yeah.
And Lou was the manager, and he was in there, and there was a few of them.
Okay.
And then I think you had the pandemic that came through, and people have had issues and lost loved ones and had their own medical issues, and it's changed people's mindset on how to treat people and how to act.
That's interesting.
That's what I think. And I think with Brad also because Brad had a run-in with COVID and all that thing, and he had medical issues, and I think that had helped him open his eyes at life, maybe. I don't know. But before he was always laughing and joking too, but now he laughs and jokes and gets it. But the job that those guys have is stressful.
Mm-hmm.
Ours, we go out there and work and bust our ass and run and do our thing if we want to get off early. Theirs is more like numbers and percentages and points.
Right.
And they have to deal with the phone calls and the stress. So they deal with it their own way, I guess. But I think that the camaraderie that the drivers, because we kind of took the cool cats from Red
We
Rock.
did.
I don't know if they think they got the cool cats still over, but not very many of them.
Yeah.
So I think we got majority of the good drivers from that center, and then they pulled from South and made whatever they got. But I don't think they touch us, you know what I mean, with personality and work ethic. Majority of them. These newer guys' work ethic is a little different.
Mm-hmm.
But
all the vets are legit, though.
Yes, we all hold it down when we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the relationship, they said we're number one in the whole country or something like that with numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's a reason. And that sometimes is, hey, dude, you can go in and talk to management and say, hey, this is the number that I need. If I can't get that number, you know what I mean, you're not going to get the numbers out of me that you need.
Right.
And so it works majority. When you go to Brad and you talk to him and you shut that door, he's not a manager. He's just a person. He's a coworker.
Yeah, he's a
you
person.
Can talk to, and that's kind of helped that center out to where everybody.
I would agree.
Is together, and I think that it's nice like that. Back in the day when I first started, dude, you would have like Friday night out, and you would have 20 drivers hanging out together. You know what I mean? I think it's slowly getting back to where there's like groups of people that kick it together, drivers and stuff. But like barbecues and stuff like that back in the day was a normal thing for UPSers, and you'd go and hang out, and there'd be 20, 25 drivers. And they'd be doing a football. Like you go to Aliante on March Madness, dude. Yep. There's 40 dudes in there.
Yep, and that's how it was this last March Madness.
Yeah.
I was one of them dudes
you were
there.
one of them in there.
For sure.
So you're like, hey, dude, a lot of call-ins that day, whatever.
Yep.
But hey, you save your call-ins for when you need to use them.
Yeah, for when you need to use them.
When you're sick, do your thing.
See, and I think you can actually, because the first person who helped me understand the stresses of the supervision role was Steve, and I can imagine. I knew because you and Steve were close, so I know you were aware of it before. But now, as a union steward, like I'm guessing, like you have a magnifying glass on it now. Like you understand it so well now. Like, oh damn, they deal with bullshit that we're not really aware of.
Oh yeah, they have their spreadsheets that they got to cover, and they want to make sure you see him in there when he's like, "Hey, you got beat by 1.7 yesterday. Better pick that shit up." And you're like, "All right, dude. Now, if everybody in the whole center did that, we wouldn't be number one."
Right.
So his level and his game, the way he does it is he pushes people to work and work for him like he works for them. And he's one of the only dudes in there. He's giving us breakfast, lunch. You know what I mean? He's doing it, dude.
He definitely puts his money where his mouth is.
He shows his appreciation, and that helps everybody. Me and Steve have been cool. Steve trained me. You know what I mean?
Okay, I didn't know he trained you.
He trained me back in the day. So me and Steve, he'll tell the story. Oh, I was down on Boulder Highway doing my, I'm sure when he was out there. But he was an amazing supervisor, an amazing trainer. He trained me great, and made it to where. At first, I was out there killing it, dude. Going. If I
why you say at first? Like you still don't be killing routes.
Well, I tried.
Or your route. So you've had your own route forever.
I have it like my goals are set for 12 o'clock. I need to have this much done. 1 o'clock, this much done. You know what I mean? If my son is doing this, I'm not taking any breaks. I'm gunning it, and I am going to football practice tonight. But back in the day, if I was not done before pickups, that's how we were trained back then. Pee Wee's the same way. Like, hey, dude, we would get on route, sort the truck, be done by pickups, back to the building. Sometimes it would work. We'd get to go home. Majority of the time, they would say, sweet, here's another 100 stops.
Yeah.
After that happens so many times, you get that feeling to where you're like, man, dude, your back gets hurt. It's broken. But you get your own route, and you get your groove, and you set it, and you have your goals for the day. And I think that helps with your sanity there too, dude.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, you know it. At 2 o'clock, if I'm not at this number, I'm like, oh shit, dude, I'm working till this time. You know your time, your table. After you do it a few times, you're like, oh, this is how I'm done. So I do say like, oh, at first I ran my ass off and I did my thing, but I try to do it because if I go out there and run one day, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, I'm like, oh, dude, my knees.
Yep.
You know what I mean? My body starts shutting down. And when it's summertime, dude, you can't do that. You can't do it.
You can't do that at all.
You'll wind up like Cantu. When he was a couple years ago when he was damn near dying. So
he bounced back though.
He did.
Cantu, awesome. You bounced back like a real G. You did that.
Oh, dude, Cantu's legit.
So okay, so I want to ask you, as a vet, what are some of the challenges would you say that specifically a vet faces? Like, okay, so for me now reaching vet status, right? So it's interesting that how you used to be for me and you still are, like you're one of the, like pretty much you're the main person I go to for like advice as far as like, you know, how to deal with shit here. People come to me now and it's actually kind of a challenge for me because it's like, I don't really like, well, I don't want your future in my hands, right?
And it's tough to do that, but you have to be like, after you see how most of the time they come to you for advice, you've already dealt with them in the office. Now, if it's attendance, you're like, all right, let's see your attendance done. You've called in 50 times this year. Like, it's hard for me to fight and go in and do those things, but it's still my gig to fight. So I'm going to go in there and be like, oh, well, this one's a late. Let's not worry about that. Your boards weren't working that day.
You're a good lawyer. I'm going to tell you that. You're definitely a good lawyer.
You just go through the things like, because UPS struggles with having equipment there for you, and you'll punch in late, and then they'll use it against you. And so you just got to stay on your toes, and I'll tell that to the drivers. I'm like, hey, pay attention to your stuff so that when we go in the office, you're on point. You know, you know what you're saying. And I'll back you 100%, and we'll figure out what we got to do and come to an agreement with management. So it's been crazy that way. But when people come to you at first and you don't know the answer, I'll be like, oh, give me a minute, I'm gonna figure it out, and I'll call Deshaun up or call up Mike, or you know what I mean. I kind of my core group right there, and they're legit, dude. Mike Smith is an OG that's been there for a long time. That kills
30 of them.
Yeah, he's been there a long time. Deshaun's been there a long time. Al's been there a long time. Like, hey, in the next 5 years, dude, we got a core group of dudes that are
about to be out of here, and we're gonna have to
step up.
I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I'm not stepping into those shoes. All right, I don't want any of those responsibilities. I want to do like I do now, fly under the radar and get my jokes off, laugh with my friends, and then dip out after PCM is over and come back and go home.
Definitely,
that's what I want to do. That's my sweet spot. I found my comfort zone there.
You've made your day. You say, hey, this is my time. I'm coming in and doing this, and hey, do this many stops by this time, and I'm punching out.
Yes.
And that's how you got to do it. And you could do that like the vets do. They come in, they don't show any emotion, they don't flip out, they don't do their thing, and they coast. It seems like they've been there 25 plus years, and they're like, shit, I got 2, 3, 5 more years or whatever, and I'm out. They're in their 50s and retired, collecting a pension.
Yep.
And you can take that and ride into the sunset, or you can
do something else.
Or you can keep working. You got drivers in there that are 30 plus years that could have retired a long time ago, but some of the vet drivers worry. Like, my worry is like, when I hit my date to retire, I'm retiring. Doc.
Yeah, I'm trying to be the same way. I
don't care. I don't like the whole lifestyle change, and I got to have this, I got to have that. And I hope it doesn't. And I hope everybody's in my family and all that is healthy to where I don't have to bust another 5 out. You know what I mean? At the end of at the retirement time. So that's my main worry. Like, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, dude, I got 12 more years. I got 11 more years. And they fly, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't too bad. And now that you sit on a route that is yours, it's like Groundhog Day, dude. You go out there, you do the same stuff. You talk to your people. Like on my route, dude, talk to all my people on my route. I say hello. I say good morning. I say have a great day. I speak with everybody on my route that looks at me because they are generous and they love me and they treat me right over there. So, but I go out there with a good, positive attitude and I get it in return.
Right.
So it helps to have it, and it works on that route.
Right. And see, that's something I want to point out. So I'm going to ask you in a second about the people on your route. But you said something really important that, to me personally stands out, that I'm starting to get in the phase of where the challenges you face, like when you start, aren't the challenges you face as you start to get into like veteran status. Mm-hmm. So like as you start to get into veteran status, your challenges are more like, so how am I going to make sure that my body is cool for when I walk up out of here? Mm-hmm. How am I going to make sure that I'm doing all the right things so that when I step out of here, everything flows how I want it to go? So that's something I've noticed. Like there is a progression of what, like, I like the saying that problems aren't problems forever. Like, you know, you're like, you got a problem today, it's not going to be your same problem tomorrow. Right. There's going to be a new one. So it's the same thing with this job. Like right now, you're mad, you know, when you first start, like it's a whole lot of work. I'm not used to it. That's not going to be your problem for too long, though. Eventually, you're going to figure that out. You're going to get over it. Mm-hmm. You know, you haven't figured out like your comfort zone. You're going to figure that out and you're going to get over it. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be a new problem. So that's something I do. Well, I ask you that because I do want people to, like new drivers to be aware of, like there's always going to be challenges. They're just evolving challenges. So it's important to have your mind together because there's going to be something new that you're going to have to deal with and figure out.
And that's a new board right now we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And back in the day, dude, Christmas numbers were like, oh, I did 200 today. You know what I mean? That was heavy. Now, dude, what was it, on Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever? They had routes going out with 250.
Yep.
And that's like, hey, you need to be done by 6 o'clock. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? That wasn't normal back in the day, and the routes were worth a lot. So those are part of the things of UPS evolving, and they care about them points and they want that more money. Hey, they're successful, like you guys were talking about. Right. And they're making more money, and people are ordering more and more shit. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing, dude.
Okay, so I want to ask you, man, because I've had to go behind drivers on their routes, and the customers hate them. They just despise the driver. They're like, dude, what can we do to make sure he never does this route again? I can't do nothing. It's his route. Just, you know, when you see me smile and wave, I've done your route so many. I was like, even your route before. I've covered every route you've been on, right? When you take days off, like I've covered it, right? So every route you've done, I've got to do. Why does everybody love you so much, dog?
I don't know.
Listen, everyone. It doesn't matter where, dude. From your past 3 routes, literally every time I have done the route behind you, man, dude, there's nobody ever once has had anything bad to say about you. I've never seen this driver with a bad, oh, where's my UPS guy at? Oh, I was waiting to see him today. Like, dude, so like, what's the secret, man?
The secret is I give as much respect and positivity towards them, and majority of the time people will give it back. Okay. So I am not the one that's having a bad day that's like, oh, screw this, I don't want to do this, whatever. I'll roll up, hey, what up, 100? Heck yeah, give me 200. You know what I mean? I give it to me. Give it to me. And majority of the times when you're positive like that and you say like, thank you or good morning or have a great day, I'm telling you, every single person I deliver to, when they come out and say, hey, and have a great day, you know what I mean? Or when they say, hey, how is your day going? Oh, it's amazing. They don't want to hear how my day's going if it's bad. Right. So I try to stay positive with everybody on my route. And when they say something to me and it clicks, or I have something in like we have in common, dude, I will give them 15, 20 seconds. Oh, how was your? Oh, I did this. Oh, me, I've done this before, and I get personal with them to where then the next time I know that this lady loves her roses, so I'll say, hey, your roses look amazing this season. You know what I mean? Or, man, your yard looks great, because I know that guy loves to go out there and wants his yard to look good. And I'll just throw that at him, and they take it, and they give it back. And so it works good because they give it back, and they're nice. Some routes that I've been on where I'm like, hey, what up? Nothing. I'm like, oh, man, you people up here are different. So I try not to let it affect me. But, you know what I mean? The next time I see him, I'm going to go over the top again and be more positive and more like level 10 with excitement or happiness. Yeah. To where if they come back again negative, I'm like, oh, you're just that kind of person. So then the next time I'm going to do it, you know what I mean? And eventually I'm going to break you before you break me. Right. Because you're not going to change my day. You're going to make my day happy. Eventually, we're going to find something we're in common with. And if not, I'm going to keep bugging you. When you're that ornery person that opens that door and is like, ugh, I'm like, good morning. Hey, how you doing? And you're like, oh, you know what I mean? They don't want to hear it. But guess what? I'm going to say it again.
See, and I feel like that's a skill, right? And I feel like a lot of drivers who don't really have the personable, just the charisma. That's the word I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for. Drivers that lack charisma, I've tended to notice have a harder time. They get a lot of DFUs.
Yes.
They get a lot of complaints. They get a lot of call-ins. But the drivers that are like have a tremendous charisma about themselves, they just they're happy here. They're really happy here. And then I've noticed how, because like I said, so it was interesting for me to see your charisma in the building and then do your route after you and then see how the charisma bleeds into your actual work in the field. So, like, I don't know, man. I feel like maybe that should be like something that gets talked about to, like in the classes when we have classes of new drivers. Because I don't feel like actual like personable skills. I know when I took my class, they didn't really say anything about how to have like, how to communicate with customers and how to have like a outgoing personality and stuff like that.
Right.
So, and I feel like that's something that I feel like the new guys could use.
Well, I know you worked with Ed.
1,000%. One of my favorite people.
My first year working at UPS, I was his loader, and I was his jumper for Christmas.
Okay.
So
he made you get out the truck all the time, too.
He said, I will get out of my truck when the package is on my side. He knows his route so well to where he can hit a day of 400 stops and not have shit on his side. And I'd be like, dude.
He did that to me so many times.
But he was positive. He was a positive dude. And he was always out there singing Elvis and doing his thing. And same way, dude. I looked at him and I was like, man, he's positive out here. You couldn't catch him on a bad day.
Kind of get it from him a little bit.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah,
he was a good dude. I remember I was jumping for him from one Christmas out there on your route. Silverstone, you had to run or he'd leave you. So you're out there running, dude, and I stub my toe on a concrete that's sicking up, dude, and I flip onto this front porch, dude, and boxes go flying everywhere. And I turn back and I come back and I'm on like hour number 15 for the day during peak.
Yep.
And I get back, dude, and I take my shoe off, and my toenail is broken in the middle of blood everywhere. And I'm like, oh, dude, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And he's like, all right, I'll do the next stop. I'm like, the next stop, bro. You're going to do I'm done for the day. And he's like, dude, I need you, Mike. I need you. I can't be. We got to finish these 100 stops in the next hour and a half or whatever. And you, damn it, Ed. So I tie my shoe up real tight, dude. It's fucking bleeding. But he was a positive dude when I first started. And I looked up to him, and he was, he never turned it off, but he also dealt with the issues of his body breaking down when he was at his retirement time. But he gave everything to the company, and it worked out at the end. He retired and got his pension, and he's doing his thing. But that's where I think I got my positive out there to where it was like, hey, what's up?
Yep.
Up to everybody.
Yep.
He was that way. And he had so much pride in what he did, and he was a good dude.
And that's interesting because Alan mentioned Ed as, Ed always giving Alan like words of inspiration, and Ed did the same shit to you that he did to me. I'ma just listen. If it's on my side, I'm gonna get out. Never got out. He maybe got out the truck twice, right?
When I had a bloody foot.
And he was always so damn. Have a wonderful day. He said that to everyone. He was always so positive, and it's amazing to see how, like, the good drivers make because he was before you, and then you were before me, and he left you with something, and then the same thing he left you with, like you left me with the same thing,
right?
And I guess I kind of see myself leaving that with newer drivers. So you can see like how the really, really influential drivers here,
right?
Like if the charisma is good, if they're really good people, they find their way like down into the new generations.
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So what would you say is the most positive, unexpected thing that has happened to you as a result of doing this job?
Positive,
unexpected. Like you weren't expecting it to happen, but oh my God, this is tremendous. Like for me, it was me and my father.
The respect you got.
Yes. I was not because like me and my dad were cool even before I started doing this. Like we were starting to mend our relationship, But once I started, because you got to be a real adult to do this job. Like you have to have a really good character behind you to do this job and be successful at it.
Right.
So in being successful at this job and this job maturing me, because I'll say that too.
Oh yeah.
This job matured the shit out of me. It definitely did that, and that translated into the type of conversations I was able to start having with my father that I wasn't mature enough to really have with him
or understand
until I started doing this job. So that's like an example for me of something that was unexpected, but it was a really big positive that happened to me as a result of doing this job.
I think the unexpected stuff you see is you're not expecting coming to work and have like a true friendship with the core group, like 100 drivers rolling every day and they bullshit together.
Mm-hmm.
So you might not be friends after you get off or you go home and stuff and you do your family stuff, but when you walk in that door, you have friends that you've known for 15 years that you see every day, dude. Tired, sick, sad, hell, you know what I mean? The whole thing. And I think you don't expect to have the kind of bonds you have with the dudes. And you'll sit on the phone and hear, like, somebody will call you and full blown, like, you vented to me, like, hey, dude, I'm struggling, this and that. I need help. Or I need some advice. And you give it to them. And it helps you bond a relationship with somebody that, you know what I mean? Most people say, you don't have very many friends, but you roll into that building, they're like almost like a weird brothers, like your core group that you see 5 days a week, and you bond with them and you talk about stuff and you talk about your personal stuff, your family life, your kids, your everything. So I think that you wouldn't expect to form the relationships you form. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's just because UPS is UPS or what, but I think you have a different relationship than most careers and jobs have with people because you have helped, or you know what I mean? Like you get a phone call, or if you call me, hey, I need help. I'm like, all right, Doc, get me some tacos and we're good. You know what I mean? Or hey, I got you today. Or, you know what I mean? And you form these relationships, and it's like, hey, dude, thank you. I was able to go see my kid. I was able to go home and do football tonight because you helped me, and you form a relationship. And I don't think that's normal at a normal place.
Yeah.
I think it's just a UPS warehouse core thing, and you go in there and you bullshit, and it's fun in the morning, dude. You're able to laugh.
It's one of the best. Like I so look forward to being there. Like I don't get there super early, but just the 15-20 minutes that I get there early, I look forward to that shit every day. I'm not gonna lie, man. I look forward to it because I know there's about to be so many. I know I'm gonna do some of my stomach is gonna hurt from how hard I'm about to laugh.
Yes. And I don't know if that's at every center or what, but our center is that way.
Yeah.
And so because everybody gives it and gets it. Nobody's on like the no shit talking list. You go right up to the boss. He walks out and you're like, dude, look at what you're wearing, dude. Or this is what you bald headed this or that. And you give it. And he turns around and he's like, oh, you little micro mini, whatever it is. It's just a cool relationship. So I think the expectations that you would never expect that you get it. And I think that's a cool thing.
Right. And, I remember when I was talking to Beck, I was telling him it's like for guys who are like in the Marines or in the military, like these become like your guys, right? And I think one of the coolest things about this place is people talk about racism all the fucking time, like it's a. I'm not gonna say it's not a real thing. Of course, it's a fucking real thing,
right?
But there's something that happens like you said, I don't know if there's like that for every building,
right? But
for our building, everybody is there, dude. Black dudes, white dudes, Mexican dudes, Asian dudes, like Pacific Islanders. Everybody's there, right?
And you're getting it.
And everybody is cool. Like we all mess with each other.
Well, if not, you're going to go to your truck and
you're going to go
not
and
talk to anybody.
And like I was telling back, there's some guys like that, but like out of 150 of us, something like that, there's maybe 10 of them.
That don't mingle.
Yeah, but that's just like their personality. They like to be loners.
Right.
But everybody else, pretty much, man, we all mess with each other, dude. And it's goddamn tremendous, dude.
Yeah.
It's been a eye-opening experience for me, especially coming from where I come from, where not everybody messes with everybody.
Totally.
To come to a place like this and like my mentors are like, some of my like real mentors are fucking white guys, and I fucking love you. I love them, dog.
Right?
Like you guys are like family to me and shit. So I think it's real cool, and especially I think it's cool for young dudes to come into a place like that and see it because I think it helps. I know for me personally, I was never a racist person or anything like that, but just being in a place where everybody has so much love for everybody, no matter what you look like. It's just because you're here, I'm here, dude. So we're a family, right? It's helped me out in the world too, man. Just like being out in the world and just, dude, I don't care what you like. Hey, dude,
because somebody you look at, you were like, that dude has nothing in common with me, and you go talk to him, and you're like, holy shit, like we have so much in common.
So much in common.
Like, damn, dude, did we just come best friends or something?
Yeah, like stepbrothers. Yeah, stepbrothers. Did
like,
we just become best friends?
Yeah, something just happened, and you're like, I would never talk to you you know what I mean? If I looked at you, I'd be like, dude, I'm never speaking with that dude. He's crazy as shit. Then you go talk to him, and you're like, dude,
yeah,
we are cool together, like, and you can mess with it.
For me, prime example is Tyler Isaacson. Just me saying that right now, people would never guess that Tyler Isaacson is my boy. I love Tyler. I talk to Tyler every day,
Definitely.
dog. Every day, unless I'm on the phone, and then Tyler, sometimes I don't answer the phone, but it's because I'll be busy. All right, I always hit you back though.
Hey, no, he'll say, "Why didn't you call me back?" Hey, no, he'll do it his voice. Hey, why didn't you call me back, man? I'm like, dude, I didn't even realize you called, or I was on the phone with my wife or kids or something, and I just spaced it. But I speak with him every day too.
So, if somebody could look in Tyler and be like, there's no way he talks to black people. There's no way, they would be like Tyler's like some stuck up asshole. And then you talk to Tyler and you get to know him, because me and Tyler started around the same time.
Right.
Oh, all right. Well, you're missing out on because of, you would have had a preconceived notion of who he was, but by being in the building with him and getting to see him for that 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day,
right.
And then talking to him on the phone every day, dude, listen, dog, if your house was on fire, I'm about to come grab you, dog. I'm going to come get Bullet. I'm going to come get Bullet, say I'm going to save your dog. Bullet is his dog, people. I'll grab Bullet. I'm going to grab the Natty Light out the refrigerator for you, because he loves his Natty Light.
He's going to need that, for sure.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think... If majority of the people that came in and saw that and joined it and came in and started bullshitting with everybody and noticed hey, dude, we're all the same, because we're coming in here and shooting the shit and we're all jumping in a brown truck. Nobody's any different. You're not making more money than me. We're making the same amount. Some people are doing a lot more, stops their different way, or more touching more packages, but we're still all going and delivering at the end of the day. So it's something that works for everybody.
Right. Okay, so I want to ask you about the people that you see out on the road, right? Because, you kind of answered it already a little bit, but what can you say about, I'm going to ask you something different, okay? I'm going to ask you something different about people, right? Because you're such a positive person, and you're one of the guys, you always see the fucking silver lining and stuff. So what could you say are some of the negative things that you see about, that you've noticed that a lot of people maybe have in common? Because
people that are working at UPS, or people that are out on route, just people,
this is like
customers.
People, you can actually merge that together. But I really want to ask you about people while you're out delivering, though, because you're such a positive person, and you, for the whole time I've known you for 10 years, you've always had the right, strong mental perception, or just you've always had a good mental grasp on things, right? And you've always been able to read people well. So what can you say is something that you like, a lot of people are kind of, I don't really like this.
Yeah, there's certain areas of Vegas is different. You can look at the map of Vegas and almost draw a line through zip codes and areas and streets.
And be like, people are like this over here, people are like this over here, and people like this.
Dude,
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You can be up in this area, on the west side, Summerlin area, and roll up, and those people are different than the people that are 5 miles down the road this way in Providence, or in North or East Vegas. You're like Green Valley people, everybody in this city is like, you moved to this area because you like it. And I think you mold into that. But Summerlin people, when I go to Summerlin, when I used to sit on the routes up there, and I'd be sitting there waving and doing the thing, and they wouldn't let me in the gate. And I'm like, bro, I'm delivering your guys' stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we're not giving you the code. And I'm like, okay. So I always that would drive me nuts. When somebody out on route has the nerve to look down on you because you work at UPS, that drives me nuts. But that's one of the only things that I ever would let bother me. And then I'll be like, dude, you know what? I ain't letting that dude bother me. Hey, he's upset, and I've been chased by people and I'm treated like shit out on route.
Somebody chased you?
Oh, I was
Tell me.
air driver, dude.
Tell me now. I want to know.
I was in Summerlin, and I was doing Saturday out by the Summerlin Hospital right there, dude. And I'm sitting at the gate. Nobody let me in. Cars are coming. I'm just sitting there. So then finally a dude pulls up. He's having a bad morning. And his code or his remote wasn't working because I was parked there. So he had to get out of his car to hit the button, and that ended the day, dude. I was a mother effer and a piece of dirt and this and all that. And so I was like, you want to know what, dude? Whatever. And I was like, just open the gate and let me get in here. So he chased me to the next stop to come out. So I see him coming. I'm like, so I call a soup. I think his name was Vince then. I'm like, hey,
yeah, I remember Vince. I know who that is.
I said, what are the rules? Defending myself. Like, I'm about to get down right now. Like, dude's coming chasing me. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And I'm like, dude, he's chased me from here, you know what I mean, to where I drove through the neighborhood and I went to a stop and he's coming out to get me now. So he's like, hey, just stay in the truck. If he comes in the truck, defend yourself. So I'm like, all right, dude, game on. Like, okay. So I'm standing there in the truck, and the dude comes around, you mother effer this and that, you're a piece of dirt and that. You know what I mean? Because I'm a UPS driver, I'm beneath him. He was driving a nice car, I'll give him that. But in my mind, I'm like, should I just let the dude beat me up kind of thing, so where I don't have to work at UPS anymore? Because he was driving one of them two-door Bentleys. So I was like, dude, you got all that money, and you're going to have this bad of an attitude? So I have... that was one of my run-ins that I've had out there, and I stood there and I waited, and you know what? When he came up and he started yelling, and I was like, you know what, dude? I don't know what's going on in your life, dude, but I hope you have a better day than what you got going on. Have a great day. And Vince was on the phone with me like, okay, are you all right? And I'm like, just have a great day. And when I started doing that back to him, he started getting even more angry, and I was like, waiting for him to grab that rail. Right, waiting for him to grab that step to where I was going to do that 300 kick. You know, that movie that guy, yeah!
You're going to let the wrestler come up out.
I told him, I was like, hey, dude, if you step up here, I'm defending myself. But I try not to let, like I said, I don't let anybody bother me out there, dude. But that kind of stuff, it kind of irks me when somebody has the nerve to look down upon you when you're doing a service for them. Because everybody in the whole damn world orders shit now.
Yep.
So I'm like, dude, just go about your way and be happy. But when people look down on anybody or have the nerve to say anything bad about them, you don't know anything about them, and they're like, oh, you're a UPS driver. I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm totally cool with it. I made this decision. I'm a UPS driver. There's days I'm mad I did it, but hey, I'm doing it. But you're not going to look down your nose at me,
right?
And have the nerve to treat me differently. But yeah, there's just different areas of zip codes that do that to me, to where I'll be like, when somebody is rude to me for no reason, that shit drives me nuts. Yeah. But I try not to let that get to me. Like I said, that was younger years and back when I was on all these other areas. But now that I got my little honey hole up there by Centennial.
You know what's interesting, too, is because you deliver in a very affluent area, and the area you mentioned before is a super affluent area. And it's kind of wild you got the super affluent, where there's people out there with tens and tens and tens of millions of dollars.
Yes.
And then you got people in your area that might got like $5, $6, $7 million, and then the attitude is great.
Hey,
is it like once you get to 10 million, you turn to an asshole?
No. The thing that's crazy is I was having a conversation with a dude on my route. I'm like, hey, what up? I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a spot to store my trailer. He's like, I got property all over here. You know what I mean? If you're in the need, just let me know. And I was like, well, how much is it? And he was like, looked at me and he was like, we don't talk money, dude. He was like, money ain't a thing to me. And I thought, holy shit, like, who says stuff like that, right? So I've been cool with that dude. Now I deliver when I have wine. He has a gate. He's got a big old piece of property, and I have a gate. And he's like, hey, dude. I start looking at all the names on the packages. Sam Boyd.
Oh.
Every package that the neighbor is that family, that Boyd Gaming, Boyd, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're talking about dude owns casinos. And I'm up here like, oh, who is this dude? And he's like, hey, if you ever need me, let me know. If you ever need anything. And I'm like, dude, that dude was cool. And then I look at his name, and the neighbor's house is Sam, 3 houses down is Sam, the house around the street is Sam. You know what I mean?
He's got like that everybody loves Raymond situation going on.
Every one of his kids live within like a quarter mile of him. And the dude was cool as shit. And you say like, oh, this dude, how much money does this dude have? Shit, ungodly amount of money.
And he's still cool.
Cool dude. And I had a great experience with him. So some of the most wealthiest people in the whole city live on my route.
Yep.
Like and they treat me totally different than you would think, because they live. I don't know if it's where they live or how they live or it's horse properties or whatnot, but they're cool people. But I'm not saying that everybody up top up there that, you know what I mean, in Summerlin is not cool, but I've had my bad experiences with people up there.
You know, dude, that's actually, you raise an interesting point. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that, like, even over by where I deliver, I got like a lot of like ranch homes and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that's actually an interesting correlation, because I've known that people are like, because, you know, like usually like people that are like, you know, into ranching, into farming, those are super really down to earth people, mm-hmm. right?
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense to me that, because you got a lot of that in your area too.
Yep.
Where, you know, there's, you know, you got a lot of ranches, you got a lot of people who are into that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. So over in the other area we were talking about, ain't none of that going on.
No,
there's none of that. There's none of that.
It's more of people that have transplanted from Cali.
Yeah.
All these other places have come to that area.
Jeez,
to where they don't speak with their neighbor,
mm-hmm.
or they don't wave at their neighbor. That's what I think, and I think the majority of people in my area are people that have grown up in Vegas. Right? I sat and talked to a guy the other day. He was a pit boss, and he's retired, and he's been in Vegas for 45 years. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so I'm like, cool. I know. I said, me too. I've been here. Where'd you go to high school? So me and that dude now every day. What up, bud? And me and him are cool. And he comes out. Hey, bud, here's some money. Here's some drinks. Here's some food. And I'm like, just from me being, you know what I mean? Hey, how you doing? 15
That's one thing from your right. Your tips are ridiculous.
Oh man,
you get stupid tips.
Yeah.
That are unnatural.
Pootie. He was on my route last week, or I was on vacation. He did it 2 days, pulled $90, and he's like, Mike, dude, I didn't even do anything, and I was like, half that's my shit. That's my money. But I was like, see, dude, hey, the people in that area are amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
I found my little spot to where I have in common with my route and my people, and I love it. I love my route. Mm-hmm. I love my customers.
When I was talking to Beck, and I was telling him about the route that I have now, mm-hmm. and I'm like, dude, Mike was the one who told me about it, and I'm like, Mike, how could you not take this route? Mm-hmm. But Beck raised a good point. He was like, well, when you've been doing a route for so long and you become part of that community, mm-hmm.
The
people kind of keep you.
Yep.
And would you feel like that's something that's happened to you, that people have kept you where you are?
My pickups, the old guys that I go in there, and he lives out on one of them. He got sick when COVID hit. He got hit with it, but he was my pickup, and I bullshitted with him every day. And I'll be like, hey, what's up? You know, how's it going? I know about his family. He knows about my family. Like, you bond and you do things. And I'm like, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be work related. Like, if I can help you with something that isn't, you know what I mean, going to kill me, I'll pretty much help you with it. And so I've done that with all my pickups and my customers, to where I'm like, oh, if they ask me, hey, an opinion or something that I might know, I'll throw it right back at them, and it works well to where we kind of get along.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now I want to ask you, who are your OGs? It's always interesting to ask a vet driver, mm-hmm. like, who were the people that
Ed
looked up to?
Ed was one, but once Deshaun got me the job, and then he started doing his thing with the union and safety and all that, and I thought, you know what I mean? You get treated, I don't want to say treated differently, but you bond with people when you look at that and you say, his way he's working. So Deshaun is one of my ride or die dudes, mm-hmm. at UPS. Ed Sutton was one that I looked up to at the beginning, but you got John Reed is a good dude. He's been there more than me, and he gives me advice when I need it, and he asks, and it's kind of a give or take. But John Reed, Deshaun, Ed Sutton was cool. Mike, you know what I mean? You want to talk finances and money making, Al Thyman, those guys, and they will give you advice and help you with it. But those guys are pretty stand up dudes.
Right.
Like mellow, laid back, you go Medlock, and you
mm-hmm.
back group to where they're like, hey, I'm like, hey, old man, how you doing? Or you got Squeaks in there, which is Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's on his third hip surgery, and I call him Squeaks, and we laugh about it, and you can hear his.
Yeah, he's another one of the guys in there who's always had a great attitude since I met him.
And I worked with him at the mall, and you can hear his hips squeaking as he's walking. And so I was like,
that's why you call him Squeaks? I never heard of a hip
I'm
squeak.
like, hey, his hips make noise. So I'm like, dude, you're squeaking. Like, you need to oil that shit up, dude.
Like the Tin Man.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you got to do it. But He's awesome, dude. Those guys are just positive people, and all those guys don't bring you down.
Okay.
So when you come in and you're positive and nobody else is like, oh, man, because you know the group of people that are like, ugh, I got this today. Like, you're like, dude,
right.
get out of here with that shit. But those 4 guys, they're positive people, and they give it, and they're not just sitting there, you know what I mean, taking your energy and not giving any energy back. Mm-hmm. So they're good. They're good people.
So I asked D. Foss about some things that the vets told him when he started that have stayed with him, that have helped him to make his transition. Because D. Foss is like, he's one of the dopest dudes in there.
Oh, for sure.
And so, can you give me like 1 or 2 things that were said to you that you've never forgotten, that have not only just helped you at the job, but something that one of these guys has told you that you were able to internalize and use not only at the job but outside your life?
I don't know. The fact that once I realized that I work at UPS and UPS doesn't own me, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, to where I come to work, I do my job. If I have issues, I turn it on to management and I say, hey, I can't do this, or I need help here. And a lot of younger drivers take it and hold on to that shit.
Yep, I was one of them.
Mm-hmm. So I think one thing that you got to do is know it's just a job. And at the end of the day, you get to go home, punch out. At first, you take it home and you dream about it, and you know what I mean. You have nightmares about packages. And
you hear the boop 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 on the board,
beep,
like
you're like, oh shit, dude.
Yeah.
But just know that it's a job, and a lot of people say, "Oh, this is a career." Yeah, it's a career. It's a great career, but at the end of the day, it's a job, and you are positive with it, and you're good with it. But don't take it home, and don't hold it in, any of the stress and the trouble, because if you do it, you take it home, and that's why UPS is number 1 in divorces. You know what I mean? You take it home with you, because you get punked at work, and then you go home and you get punked at home, or you have an argument at home, and you have to do this or make decisions. But if you learn to just not do that and just say it's a job, that at the end of the day, the career is a career, and you get your pension, and that's another thing that's positive. So you think, when I'm 52 years old, I'm done. And guess what I'm doing? I'm going to collect that pension. And hopefully I don't dream about this place then. Hopefully my dreams are about beaches and mountains and rivers and stuff that I'm able to do. And I'm able to go see my kids, and hopefully I have grandkids by then. You know what I mean? So, or when that happens. So I think just positivity with not taking home, and know it's a job, and don't take the stress and don't hold it in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's once I figured that out at UPS, the game changed.
That is
in my mind.
That is like the golden thing to figure out. That's I will say that is the main thing. So I want to ask you, at what point in time did you figure that out? Because it didn't hit me, at least for my first 5, I didn't figure that out.
I was doing downtown. I followed DJ had a downtown route. So if you know DJ's Resi route, it's 300 stops. So his downtown route was like 2 downtown routes. So when he wasn't there, it was me, and they wouldn't help me, and management wouldn't help me, and I was struggling, and I was not sleeping at night, not worrying. You know what I mean? I was driving the area on the weekends to figure out where to go. You know what I mean? Because if you get punked, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be the number 1 dude in there, and I wanted to be the best. But the one day I came in, and I had a meltdown. You know what I mean? Looked at the truck. You know what I mean? Asked for help. They said no, and I'm like, I can't do this. I need help, and I had a meltdown. And Deshaun was like, "You little bitch, you know, you crying. You're gonna go cry in the truck." I'm like, "Man, whatever." You know that line from Friday. You're gonna go cry in the car, right? And I would be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go cry." I went in the locker room. I'm like, dude, tearing up, and he was like, "Fuck this, Mike, come with me." So I went in and I talked to Russ, and I was looking at him, tearing up. I'm like, "Dude, I can't do it." And he's like, "Ask us for help." And I'm like, "I've been asking," and he's like, "I haven't heard nothing." And then he said, "If you ever need help, put it on us. Do not ever have this job making you feel the way you're feeling right now." And ever since then, I was like, "Oh, dude, game changer." And and he was a great manager, I thought. And,
I did too.
Yeah.
I thought Russ was cool.
Yeah.
I thought Russ was cool too.
So that made the game change.
At what year? What year was that though? That's the specific thing I want to know about. What year?
Well, I did air for like 5-6 years, and then I started doing the routes and stuff. So I was like 8 years in.
See, this is why I asked you that. Because a new driver will think like the other day when you was like, "Hey, J.Love, go talk to this young dude right here," right? So, I don't think a lot of times I'll tell a newer driver like, "Hey, bro, you have some years to figure that out," and they'll probably think that means like, "Oh, 1 or 2 or even 3." I'm like, "Nah, dude, this is really like you said, year 8." I'm legit just now getting like I found my stride. It's been 10, Mike.
Yep.
Like it's taken me really 10 years to find my stride. And who told me it was going to take that long was Ronnie. You remember the Porter Ronnie?
Oh yeah.
He told me, he was like, "Yeah, dude, it's going to take you about 10 years to figure it out." And I'm like, oh shit, he was right.
Like, damn, 10 years is a long time. You're here.
Yeah,
you made it.
Absolutely. So I think a young driver hearing like somebody that coming from somebody like you, like, dude, it takes a long time.
Well, like I said, dude, I wasn't seeing my kids. I wasn't, you know what I mean? The whole circle of stress, you know what I mean? Working, getting shit at home, you know what I mean? Not seeing my kids, or I just had a newborn. So I think all of that just molded into it where I had to melt down. But then once that manager, and Deshaun, was like picking on me and stuff, which is all right. And he told me, "Hey, dude, don't ever feel this way." And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to feel this way. When I have an issue with UPS, I pull my phone out, boop.
Yeah.
"Hey, dude, this ain't happening." And you want to know what? "Oh, we can't help you." All right, just so you know, I'm calling you. I'm going to send a message, and I'm going to take a picture of it. And I'm going to hold my records to where when you guys pull me in tomorrow, I'm covered. And now that I know that I can't be disciplined for it, I can sleep at night.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about this shit no more.
And you know what's crazy is I remember telling you, because everything you're saying right now is stuff you've told me personally, and I remember saying, like, why don't they teach nobody that? Like why is it that why wouldn't the supervision teach you this? And then like you like, I won't say everything you said, but you explained to me like that's not the game. Like that's not the game. The game is there for those who are willing to go figure it out. If you're willing to like go get the game, then it'll start to work out for you. Right. But they're not just going to give it to you. So that's why it's important for me at least to like have you come on here, because like you are extremely important to my career here, and it's because a lot of the things that you said, not only just you, but you, Deshaun, and that whole group of guys that we know, like you guys have said so many important things to me that I'm not going to remember all of it to say to all these other dudes, man. So I'm like, I'm gonna just have y'all come on here, and then if these new dudes want to get the game, they can listen. They can listen, and then they can get it from y'all without directly having to come talk to y'all. Because I'll be honest, it's only because I know y'all and I've been knowing y'all for so long. But a newer guy is gonna feel intimidated coming up talking to y'all. Yeah, they're not gonna be like, "Oh, let me just go talk to Mike Petersen. Let me just go talk to Mike Smith or Thurman or Deshaun or Hearns." They're not just gonna come up and talk to y'all. Y'all are like y'all are like monoliths to them. They're not gonna be like, "Oh, let me go chop it up with these guys."
Right. And that's why I try to laugh with them all and joke at, even with the new guys. "Hey, how you doing? You know, good morning. How you ladies doing?" You know, just messing with the guys. Like, did they get you yesterday? Because you know, we've all dealt with it. I mean, you go through the phases, and it's almost like you earn it. You know what I mean? You go through those struggles those years, and you earn your sanity at UPS. But I am open with everybody at work to where I try to make it to where they can come to me and talk to me about anything, even if it's not work related. I'm like, "Dude, let me know if you need me, bro." Even the few ladies that are there, "Hey, if you need me too, you can talk to me, and if you need my help, I'm there, dude." So I think that's what I try to do, and that's how I try to make it to where I don't want anybody feeling the way that I went through those grinds. But you got to earn it a little bit. You can't just walk in and get handed a sweet thing. But
word. Yeah. Well, Mike, I could sit here and I could legit talk to you for forever, man. Because you know,
it's pretty easy.
You already know, man. You're one of my favorite people, dude. And usually my last question is, how does it feel knowing that you became successful? But you kind of answered that already. And Just people listening, specifically at in Las Vegas at my building. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who Mike is.
Yep.
Mike is a tremendous resource for you guys. So even after you guys listening to this and hearing what Mike has to say, Mike is not a shy guy. He's not rude. He won't just push you off. He was a mentor to me. Mm-hmm. Don't be scared to let him be a mentor to you too. Okay.
I won't have a problem with it, dude. I'll help where I can. For
sure. Mike, thanks for coming through, man. I appreciate it, dude. And everybody, thanks for listening. Mike, you got any last words?
Have a great day. Take care.
For sure. Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll be back with you soon.